You may never have imagined that such extraordinary people actually exist in the world, but in today's video, we'll meet individuals with rare appearances, unique bodies, and unimaginable life stories. What makes them memorable isn't just what you see, but also their willpower, perseverance, and how they continue to live their own lives. If you find these stories interesting, please hit like and subscribe to our channel to join us. And now, let's begin. December 23, 2021, was supposed to be a normal workday for Jacqueline Durand when she arrived at a home in Coppell, Texas, to care for 2 dogs. At the time, Jacqueline was a 21-year-old student at the University of Texas at Dallas and already had years of experience working with dogs. However, she was unexpectedly attacked by the 2 animals and suffered severe injuries, especially to her face. Jacqueline was rushed to the hospital and underwent intensive treatment for nearly 2 months before she was finally able to return home. Leaving the hospital did not mean her recovery was over. Jacqueline continued through multiple reconstructive surgeries, physical therapy, and the difficult process of adjusting to changes in both her appearance and daily life. Rather than completely withdrawing from public view, she chose to speak openly about her experience. Jacqueline explained that she did not want to be afraid of who she had become. Remarkably, her love for animals remained. Even after the attack, she spoke about hoping that one day she might be able to work with them again. 4 years after the incident, Jacqueline was still continuing her reconstructive journey and had undergone around 30 surgeries. In an update shared in late 2025, she reflected on those years not only through the difficulties she had faced, but also through her personal growth and the support of family and loved ones. At 26, Jacqueline does not want her entire life to be defined by one traumatic day. Instead, she focuses on what she can continue building while offering encouragement to others who are learning to adapt after major life-changing experiences. Marina Bogdanova's childhood became closely connected with hospitals before she was even 2 years old. In October 2002, a fire broke out at her family's home in Moscow, leaving Marina with severe burns over more than 65% of her body. She spent a long period receiving intensive treatment, followed by numerous surgeries and skin grafts in the years that followed. At the age of 3, Marina was brought to Shriners Hospitals for Children in Boston for continued care. Growing up with scars, hospital visits, and rehabilitation, she gradually learned to see those marks as part of her life story rather than something she needed to hide. As Marina entered her teenage years, she faced not only continued medical treatment but also the challenge of becoming more comfortable around other people. One important experience came through a summer camp, where she tried new activities, made friends, and slowly became less reserved. She later joined meetings of the Patient and Family Advisory Council at Shriners in Boston, where she contributed ideas aimed at improving the experience of young burn patients and their families. Once uncomfortable with being the center of attention, Marina gradually discovered that her own experiences could become a meaningful way to support others going through similar challenges. In 2018, Marina and her mother founded the Phoenix Family Fund, an organization that supports burn survivors and their families through community connections, treatment assistance, and practical help during recovery. Over time, Marina also entered the modeling world and appeared at events for the burn survivor community. By 2025, she was being featured as both a model and speaker discussing beauty and self-acceptance after serious injury. Marina does not try to hide her scars. Instead, she wants them to be understood as one part of who she is, not the complete definition of her identity. For a long time, Mahogany Geeter simply wished her legs would not be the first thing people noticed about her. She was born with lymphedema, a condition that causes swelling in her left leg due to a buildup of lymphatic fluid. As she grew older, walking, choosing clothes, and handling everyday activities often required extra adjustments. Mahogany frequently covered her leg with loose clothing, not because she disliked herself, but because she had become used to curious stares and insensitive comments. Over time, those experiences shaped the way she saw herself and made confidence something she had to build gradually. A turning point came unexpectedly. While Mahogany was out one day, a photographer approached her and suggested that she try modeling. At first, the idea made her uncomfortable because she had spent years trying not to attract attention. Eventually, however, Mahogany decided to do the opposite of hiding. She allowed herself to be fully seen in front of the camera. Each photo shoot gave her a different perspective on her own appearance. What began with hesitation slowly became a source of confidence, and she started exploring modeling more seriously while learning to feel comfortable presenting herself exactly as she was. Today, Mahogany shares not only fashion photographs, but also honest glimpses into life with lymphedema. Behind the confident images are days spent caring for her body, managing swelling, and adapting her routine when necessary. What makes her journey meaningful is not that she tries to turn her difference into something extraordinary, but that she no longer allows it to decide what she can or cannot pursue. Step by step, Mahogany has built a life around her own choices while encouraging others to look at different bodies with greater understanding, respect, and acceptance. Zizipho Soldat grew up in South Africa with phocomelia, a rare congenital condition that affects the development of the limbs. Her left arm did not fully develop, and her left leg is shorter than her right. From an early age, Zizipho realized that her body looked different from those of many other children. But what made childhood especially difficult were the stares and hurtful comments she sometimes faced. Rather than allowing those experiences to define her future, she gradually learned to understand her body, build confidence, and find a path where she could be recognized for her abilities and personality. Her love for fashion eventually opened a new door. Watching successful models walk confidently on runways helped Zizipho imagine herself in front of the camera as well. She began taking photos, sharing them on social media, and slowly exploring opportunities in modeling. The journey was not always easy, but her persistence helped her gain attention within the industry. Alongside her modeling work, Zizipho also built an online presence where she shares parts of her daily life, personal style, and experiences as a woman with a disability, encouraging greater visibility and representation. Zizipho's story goes beyond becoming a model. She has also used her voice to support greater inclusion and a more respectful understanding of disability in fashion and everyday life. Through her online content and public appearances, she hopes people will recognize that having a different body does not reduce a person's individuality, ambition, or worth. For Zizipho, confidence is not something that appears overnight. It is something built gradually by continuing to show up, pursue opportunities, and live authentically without allowing other people's expectations to determine what she can achieve. The first time Sheetal Devi picked up a bow, she was not looking for an extraordinary story. She simply wanted to discover how far she could go. Born in 2007 in Kishtwar, Jammu and Kashmir, India, Sheetal was born with phocomelia, a condition that left her without both arms. From an early age, she learned to use her feet for many everyday tasks. In 2019, her athletic potential was noticed at a training camp. Soon afterward, she was introduced to archery and gradually developed a technique that worked naturally with her body. On the shooting line, Sheetal holds the bow with her foot while using her shoulder and upper body to draw and release the string. What may look extremely difficult became a precise sequence of movements after thousands of hours of practice. Her first major international season in 2023 brought her worldwide attention as she won medals at the World Championships and 2 gold medals at the Asian Para Games. A year later, at the Paris 2024 Paralympics, Sheetal and Rakesh Kumar won bronze in the mixed team compound event, making her India's youngest Paralympic medalist at the time. Sheetal's journey did not end in Paris. In 2025, she became the women's compound world champion in Gwangju, becoming the first armless woman to win a world title in the event. In June 2026, she continued her strong form by topping the qualification round in Nove Mesto with 697 points and improving her own Asian record. Her achievements are built on technique, discipline, and adaptation, rather than simply a story of overcoming adversity. For Sheetal, every arrow reflects serious training, competitive focus, and a determination to keep performing at the highest level. In December 2011, Manasi Joshi's life changed after a serious road accident while she was on her way to work. She underwent several surgeries and eventually had her left leg amputated above the knee. Even while recovering in the hospital, Manasi asked her doctors whether she would be able to play badminton again. The sport, which she had enjoyed since childhood, gradually became an important part of her rehabilitation. As she learned to use a prosthetic leg, she began with simple movements, slowly rebuilding her mobility, strength, and confidence one step at a time. What began as part of her recovery soon became a serious competitive goal. Manasi continued working as a software engineer while dedicating more time to training before eventually choosing to pursue para-badminton professionally. Long practice sessions, adjustments to her prosthetic leg, and a demanding competition schedule required tremendous discipline. Her breakthrough came at the 2019 Para-Badminton World Championships in Basel, where she defeated fellow Indian player Parul Parmar to win gold in the women's SL3 singles event. The victory established Manasi as one of India's most recognized para-badminton athletes. In the years that followed, Manasi continued competing internationally while also using her platform to promote greater inclusion and equal opportunities for people with disabilities. In 2024, she partnered with Thulasimati Murugesan to win silver in women's doubles at the World Championships and later competed in the women's SL3 singles event at the Paris Paralympics. For Manasi, the value of sport goes far beyond medals. Badminton helped her rebuild independence, discover a new direction in life, and show how adaptation, patience, and consistent effort can create possibilities she once never imagined. In 2019, when he was just 18 years old, Lauren Showers was working at a construction site in Montana when a forklift accident left him with devastating injuries. To save his life, doctors performed a hemicorporectomy, an extremely rare surgery in which the body below the waist is removed. He also lost part of his right arm. After spending months in the hospital and undergoing rehabilitation, Lauren entered a completely different way of life. He had to relearn how to move, care for himself, and adapt to physical limitations he had never imagined facing before. The years after surgery were not defined only by hospitals and treatment. Lauren had to adjust to using a wheelchair, assistive equipment, and many changes in his everyday routine. By his side was Sabia Raika, who had been with him before the accident and became his wife in 2021. Together, they gradually built a shared life around ordinary moments, taking care of their home, playing video games, talking, and working through challenges as they came. They also began sharing parts of their life on YouTube, giving viewers a clearer look at what long-term adaptation after a major injury can really involve. Lauren's life still includes health concerns that require ongoing attention, but he does not want to be defined only by the accident that changed his body. Through videos and public appearances, he has spoken openly about independence, practical limitations, and finding purpose in a life that now looks very different from the one he once expected. What stands out in his journey is not an attempt to turn suffering into a dramatic story of courage, but the way Lauren continues making his own choices, maintaining meaningful relationships, and building a life that works for him on his own terms. Jay Manuel and Pamela Chavez understood from an early age what it meant to live carefully with their bodies. Both were born with osteogenesis imperfecta type 3, OI, a form of brittle bone disease that makes bones extremely fragile and can significantly affect mobility. Over the years, they have experienced hundreds of fractures and often rely on power wheelchairs to get around. But when Jay and Pamela met online in 2019, their connection was about more than their medical condition. After months of texting and video calls, they discovered a shared sense of humor, similar life experiences, and a mutual desire to build more independent lives. Pamela eventually moved more than 700 miles to Atlanta to be closer to Jay and his family. From there, their relationship entered a new chapter filled with very ordinary but meaningful challenges. Finding an accessible home, managing health needs, navigating family differences, and preparing for marriage. Their journey was documented in TLC's Jay and Pamela, which premiered in 2025. Rather than focusing only on OI, the series shows two adults learning how to share responsibilities and make decisions about their future together. By the end of the first season, Jay and Pamela officially celebrated their wedding. After getting married, Jay and Pamela continued moving into new stages of life together. The second season of their series returned in 2026, following them as they explored new opportunities, faced ongoing health concerns, and had more serious conversations about the possibility of becoming parents. Neither of them ignores the practical limitations that OI can bring, but they also refuse to let the condition define every part of their lives. What makes their story relatable is something very simple. They want to love, live independently, and build a future together based on the choices that feel right for them. Miyuki Sugiyama stands nearly 6 feet 5 inches tall, with legs measuring around 53 inches. Growing up, her unusual height often made her stand out, and she sometimes struggled with unwanted attention, teasing, and the simple challenge of finding clothes that fit. Instead of allowing those experiences to define her, Miyuki gradually learned to see her height as part of her identity. Sports helped strengthen that confidence. She played professional basketball in Japan before competing in track and field at Ashland University in the United States, where she took part in events such as the high jump and triple jump. Over time, Miyuki moved beyond competitive sports into modeling and fitness coaching. Being in front of the camera helped her embrace the height she once felt insecure about, while sharing the everyday challenges and lighter moments of being an exceptionally tall woman. Today, she continues focusing on fitness, personal growth, and self-acceptance. Her journey shows that confidence can grow when we learn to embrace what makes us different. If Miyuki's story inspired you, please like and subscribe for more remarkable stories. Carnashia Patton grew up in Senatobia, Mississippi, with spina bifida, a congenital condition that affects the spine and left her paralyzed from the waist down. She began using a wheelchair when she was just 3 years old and quickly realized that the world around her was not always designed with people with disabilities in mind. Even so, her family encouraged her to become independent, focus on her education, and never limit her future because of mobility challenges. After graduating from high school, Carnashia attended the University of Mississippi, where she studied food and nutrition sciences. Her path afterward, however, did not follow just one direction. She explored nail artistry, fashion, modeling, and community advocacy. In 2020, she earned the title of Ms. Wheelchair Alabama America, giving her a larger platform to speak about inclusion and how people with disabilities are represented in the media. For Karnashia, being visible in public spaces also became a way to broaden the images society is used to seeing. In the years that followed, Karnashia continued participating in inclusive fashion projects and events celebrating body diversity, including UAB's Every Body Blooms program in 2026. She does not want to be defined only by her wheelchair or her medical condition. Instead, Karnashia wants people to see a woman with her own style, career, interests, and personal goals. Her journey shows that meaningful representation happens when people are allowed to be seen as their full selves, with their own personalities, ambitions, and freedom to choose the path they want to follow. For Felicia Cantone, childhood did not unfold in the usual way. She was diagnosed with Ewing sarcoma, a rare type of bone cancer, when she was around 6 years old. After treatment, the cancer returned, and Felicia went through multiple rounds of chemotherapy and other medical procedures. Eventually, she had to have her right leg amputated because of the disease. Although her education was often interrupted by hospital visits, Felicia continued going to school and tried to maintain the everyday activities of a young girl rather than allowing her life to revolve entirely around treatment. As she grew older, Felicia made a conscious effort to move beyond being seen only as a patient. She studied business management at the University of Greenwich, worked as a model, and became involved in several charitable activities. Felicia supported Dogs Trust, took part in work helping homeless people, and collaborated with Cancer Research UK. She also appeared in a Stand Up to Cancer video to share her experience of living with cancer. According to her profile, the campaign raised around $6,000. For Felicia, appearing publicly was also a way to help people with disabilities become more visible in society. Cancer returned during the final years of Felicia's life, but she continued pursuing her goals. Despite treatment extending her studies, she graduated with first-class honors in business management and also started her own business. Felicia passed away on August 12, 2021, at just 23 years old. Her family later raised funds for Cancer Research UK in her memory. Her story is remembered not only for the challenges she faced, but for how she kept studying, working, and contributing to others. If Felicia's journey touched you, like and subscribe for more inspiring stories. From the moment Braden West was born in Kentucky, his family faced an uncertain future. He was diagnosed with Pfeiffer syndrome type 2, a rare genetic disorder that affects skull development and can lead to serious complications. When Braden was still very young, his breathing problems became severe enough that he received hospice care. Over time, however, his condition gradually stabilized. Throughout the following years, Braden underwent more than 30 surgeries and relied on a tracheostomy tube for much of his childhood. As Braden grew older, his life began to include much more than hospitals and medical treatment. He attended school, performed well academically, and developed a strong interest in aviation. Around the age of 11, Braden began learning to fly model airplanes with a family friend. By 16, he had the opportunity to fly in a T-34 military training aircraft, an experience closely connected to his passion for aviation. Braden also stayed physically active and continued finding ways to take part in activities that matched his abilities and interests. One of the most meaningful moments came as Braden prepared to graduate from high school. Michelle Lynn, the nurse who had cared for him during the earliest months of his life, became the photographer for his senior pictures many years later. At the time, Braden was a high-achieving student at Apollo High School, participated in the Civil Air Patrol, and remained active in his community. What makes Braden's story memorable is not only that he outlived early medical expectations, but that he grew into a young man with his own interests, goals, and identity beyond any diagnosis. Spain became the turning point in Samira Benhar's life. She had lived for years with neurofibromatosis type 1, which caused a large neurofibroma to develop on the right side of her face. The condition affected her health and made everyday social interactions increasingly difficult, leading her to become more withdrawn over time. Her story eventually reached the humanitarian organization ADRA, which helped connect her with support in Valencia. There, Samira met reconstructive surgeon Pedro Cavadas and was given the opportunity to receive specialized treatment. A sled and 2 hockey sticks opened a new athletic path for Brody Roybal when he was only 8 years old. Born without femurs in either leg, Brody discovered para-ice hockey through the Chicago Hornets in his home state of Illinois. He quickly became drawn to the speed, puck control, and competitive nature of the sport. Within only a few years, his skills earned him a place on the U.S. national team. In 2014, at age 15, Brody became the youngest member of the U.S. delegation at the Sochi Winter Paralympics and helped his team win the gold medal. 4 years later, Brody returned to the Paralympics in Pyeongchang with a very different role. He was no longer simply one of the team's young prospects, but one of its most important offensive players. His outstanding performance helped the United States defend its title, while Brody was named Best Forward and Tournament MVP. At Beijing 2022, he once again played a major role, leading the tournament in scoring as Team USA captured its 4th consecutive Paralympic gold medal. Those achievements reflected his technical ability, speed, competitive awareness, and years of training at the highest level. By Milano Cortina 2026, Brody entered his 4th Paralympic Games as an experienced veteran. He continued contributing to the U.S. offense and scored during the team's championship run, which ended with a victory over Canada in the gold medal game. The result gave Brody his 4th Paralympic gold medal, while Team USA extended its historic winning streak to 5 consecutive titles. Away from the ice, Brody also shares everyday moments on social media, allowing audiences to see a life filled with interests, relationships, and experiences that extend far beyond his accomplishments as an elite athlete. From a very young age, Yahya El-Jabali lived with a severe congenital craniofacial condition that prevented several bones in the middle of his face from developing normally. His family in Morocco searched for help for a long time, but the treatment required was extremely complex. Yahya's story was eventually shared on social media and reached Fatima Baraka, a Moroccan woman living in Australia. That unexpected connection opened the door to a new opportunity for medical treatment. Yahya was brought to Melbourne and treated at the Royal Children's Hospital. In 2015, a surgical team led by reconstructive surgeon Tony Holmes performed an operation lasting around 18 hours. Doctors repositioned several facial bones and reconstructed parts of his nose and mouth. It was a highly complex procedure, and Yahya still needed additional surgeries afterward as part of the reconstruction process. The months after surgery gave Yahya experiences his family had long hoped he could enjoy. He began attending kindergarten in Melbourne, meeting other children, and adjusting to a new daily routine while continuing his medical care. By 2016, after completing several stages of treatment in Australia, Yahya was preparing to return home to Morocco with his family. His story reflects not only the possibilities of reconstructive medicine, but also the power of human connection across thousands of miles. John Kudis grew up in Australia with a congenital condition that left his legs almost completely non-functional. His childhood included difficult periods when he faced teasing and bullying because of his appearance. Before turning 18, John decided to have both legs amputated because they no longer served a functional purpose. Afterward, he learned to move around using a specially designed skateboard and gradually built an independent life in a way that worked for him. As an adult, John chose to become a motivational speaker. With a humorous and approachable style, he talks about bullying, confidence, mental health, and dealing with challenges in life. Over the years, John has spoken at schools, businesses, and events in many countries, sharing his story with millions of people. He does not want audiences to focus only on his body, but to remember the ideas, experiences, and messages he brings to the stage. Outside of speaking, John has also taken part in community and charity work. In 2004, he joined family and friends on a roughly 124-kilometer journey from Ipswich to the Gold Coast to raise money for charitable organizations. To John, life is not only about overcoming physical limitations, but also about how each person chooses to live, connect with others, and create value in their own way. Born in 2017 in Leicester, England, Isla Kilpatrick Screeton faced repeated medical treatment from an early age because of breathing problems. After extensive testing, she was diagnosed with mandibulo-acral dysplasia, linked to a rare genetic variant that doctors said had not been seen in another known case at the time. The condition affects bone development and several functions of the body. Isla later needed a tracheostomy to help her breathe and continues to require regular medical monitoring. But Isla's childhood has never been defined only by hospitals. When she was old enough to attend school, she began making friends and gradually became more confident in the classroom. Her family describes her as lively, sociable, and especially close to her older sister, Paige. Although Isla needs additional support with some everyday activities, she continues taking part in experiences that suit her abilities, allowing her childhood to include school, family time, and ordinary moments alongside medical appointments. In 2025, when Isla was 8 years old, her family appeared on the BBC program DIY SOS. More than 160 volunteers helped renovate their Leicester home, adding features better suited to Isla's height, mobility, and medical needs. Changes such as a lower bed, a more accessible kitchen area, and adjustable equipment gave her greater independence in daily life. Her story is therefore about more than living with a rare condition. It is also about a young girl growing up with her family, attending school, developing her own interests, and gaining more independence along the way. Each person in today's video has a different story, but they all show us that differences don't define the limits of a life. What matters is how each person chooses to move forward, pursue their goals, and live life their own way. If any of the stories impressed you the most, please share them in the comments. Don't forget to like, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you don't miss our next special journeys. Thank you for watching and see you in the next video.